Welcome back. In this video, we shall talk about using the git clone command to work on files that have been pushed to the remote repository, which is GitHub. The git clone command is used in the working environment a lot. For example, the senior engineer may push a project to GitHub and ask everyone in the team to work on the project. The way to have a copy of that project on your machine is by cloning it from GitHub to your local machine. So to clone a project using the git clone command, let's close this and let's reopen our terminal. The first thing to do is to cd to the folder or the directory you want the project to be cloned to. In my case, I want the files to be cloned to the desktop. So I'll say desktop. And when you are in the directory or the folder you want your files to be cloned to, head over to GitHub, click on that button right there and get this URL, or you go in there, click on copy to also get the URL. Then you come back to your command prompt or terminal if you're using Mac and you say git clone and paste the URL which you copied from GitHub and you press enter like so. So you see it's saying cloning into tutorial. Now my files have been cloned to my desktop. Now what we have here is the exact copy of what we pushed to our remote repository on GitHub. Now I am in the folder which I cloned, tutorial. You can see we have the source.py file, we have the index.html file, and we have the index.css file, the same way it was. And we have the .git folder. This folder is created when you initialize Git in any directory. Now let's cd into the folder which we just cloned. Say tutorial. We are in a folder currently, and you can also use the git branch command to know which branch we have in the files that we just cloned from our GitHub repository. As you can see, what we have is the master branch, and this asterisk sign here means we are currently working in the master branch. As we all know, the reason why we cloned all of these files from our GitHub repository to our local machine is so that we can work on them. Now let's open our folder in our VS Code, and as you can see, we have our source.py file here and our index.html file. Now let's make some changes to our source.py file. Let's say age is no more 45, age is 67, and let's get rid of these two lines here and let's save it. Now after saving it, let's head back to our terminal, to our command prompt, and let's say git status once more. As you can see, it says modified source.py. It was able to track the changes that were made in our source.py file. Now we'll have to go through the same process again to commit our changes to our local repository before pushing it again to the remote repository on GitHub. And to do that, you come back here and you say git add a, and we'll do git status. You see, it has been added to the staging area, and we can commit this, let's say in second, or let's say Python changes. As you can see, 1 file changed, 1 insertion, 3 deletions. So that's the update and the details of the files that we modified and the files that we changed and all of that. So let's run git status again. Nothing to commit, working tree clean. Now our file has been committed to our local repository. Now we have to push our file from the local repository again to our remote repository, which is GitHub. To do that, we'll make use of 2 commands. The first is git pull. The reason why we have to pull first before pushing is because when working with a team of developers, you need to be up to date with the changes your colleagues have made to the project. So git pull will pull all the changes for you to see before you push your own changes so you don't get to override or repeat something someone has done. And before we pull, we have to connect back to our remote repository with the git remote command. Say add my repo and the URL of this repository on GitHub. So we'd say, and we'll paste the URL here, and we have synced our local repository once again to our remote repository with the git remote add command. And after that, we would say git pull my repo master. And as you can see right here, it's saying already up to date. It means we are currently up to date. Now, after the git pull command, which lets us know that we are up to date, we'll have to push our own changes, which has been committed to our local repository, to the remote repository on GitHub by saying git push my repo to the master branch, and that's it. So we have been able to clone a file from GitHub, make changes to it, and push back to GitHub. For now, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share.